Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Lisa, and I'm here to share some devotionals with all of you. The first one is titled Joseph Lister. An amazing fact. 140 years ago, almost 50% of the patients undergoing major surgery died from infection, due largely to the filthy conditions. Doctors were bewildered why 80% more women died giving birth in hospitals compared to those who had their babies at home. Back then, doctors wore bloody aprons and went from patient to patient without washing their hands or instruments. Patients with minor wounds often died from infection or blood poisoning transmitted by the doctor. In the 1860s, a deeply religious English surgeon, Joseph Lister, was disturbed about the staggering number of patients dying from infection. He read in the Bible where God told the Israelites to wash after contact with the sick or a dead body. Based on this and Louis Pasteur's discoveries, Lister recognized germs as the likely source of infection. He suggested surgeons dress cleanly, wash their hands, and sterilize instruments before operating. He insisted that the operating room be kept clean. He also developed a method for preventing infection during an operation by treating wounds with an antiseptic. At first, Lister was regarded as eccentric, and nurses resented the extra work caused by his obsession with cleanliness. Then there was a period of significant mocking and resistance from his peers. Lister, a shy but determined man, was firm in his purpose. He humbly believed he was directed and inspired by God in this endeavor. In spite of all the opposition that he faced, he never gave up. As the mocking went on, everyone began to notice a change. The deaths from blood poisoning, infection, and gangrene were greatly reduced in Joseph Lister's hospital ward in Glasgow. Eventually, British and American hospitals saw the benefits and gradually adopted the sterile procedures promoted by Dr. Lister. Before he died, Lister's services to medicine were recognized, and he was awarded a knighthood. Louis Pasteur described Lister as one of the greatest men of the 19th century. It's amazing how the world has been transformed by applying the simple rules of sanitation found in the Bible. But did you know there are many other biblical secrets of health the world is neglecting? The God who formed us knows the principles of caring for the bodies He has given us. He lovingly shares that wisdom with us in His Word. He that toucheth the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days. He shall purify himself with it on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he shall be clean. But if he purify not himself the 3rd day, then the 7th day he shall not be clean. And that's in Numbers 19, verses 11 and 12. And that's the end of the first one. And the last one I'd like to share with you is titled, As the Days of Noah. An amazing fact. The American Civil War was over, and the SS Sultana was heading home, overloaded with recently liberated prisoners of war anxious to see their families. Even though the Sultana had a legal capacity to carry only 376 passengers, there were more than 2,300 people crammed on the sagging decks. With 6 times more passengers than she had been designed to carry, there was barely room for standing. To make matters worse, the Sultana had been neglecting proper maintenance. These ominous factors came together during the homeward journey. At 2 a.m., 3 of the ship's 4 boilers exploded, destroying a good portion of the ship and sending hundreds of soldiers flying into the icy water. Some of the dazed men were able to cling to floating wreckage until other boats arrived to rescue them, but most were not so fortunate. Hot coals scattered by the blast caught the rest of the ship on fire, forcing many to choose between burning on the ship and drowning in the cold water. When it was over, an estimated 1,600 of the 2,300 passengers perished, and many others were badly wounded. In fact, more people died in the Sultana disaster than the infamous Titanic. The Sultana might be listed as one of the greatest ocean disasters, except the Sultana never went to sea. It sank in the Mississippi River, only 150 yards from land. Moreover, news of this terrible steamboat tragedy was relegated to the newspapers' back pages. It was April 27, 1865, and the war between the states was just ending. The recent assassination of Abraham Lincoln, the killing of John Wilkes Booth, and the deaths of more than 600,000 soldiers in America's bloodiest war filled the papers. Surrounded by violence, the nation had become desensitized to death. The deaths of 1,600 Union soldiers on their way home from Confederate prisons did not seem like front-page news. Could we become numb to violence again? Jesus predicted that the end of time would be as the days of Noah were, in Matthew 24, verse 37. Though the earth will be filled with wickedness and violence, mankind will be preoccupied. But God's people will not be numb to the wickedness. They will sigh and cry over all the abominations. Ezekiel 9, verse 4. May God grant us Christ's tender heart, so that the wickedness and violence of the world will never become our normal. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. Genesis 6, verse 11. And that is the end of these devotionals. I pray you all have a beautiful day in the Lord. God bless each and every one of you, and I will see you either next video or in the air. Bye-bye.